Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome to Hyper Bitcoinization. My name is Spike, and today I'm going to teach you guys. The video is about what is Bitcoin. We're going to dive into who created it, why it was created, what it does, what kind of technology this is for us moving forward, and is this something I should be putting time into? Is it something I should be studying? Is it something maybe I should be putting my money into? All those questions we will get answered today. So, usually I sip a cocktail while I make these videos. Today I'm not doing that. I got a famous Arizona tea. If you got one, join me. Listen, I thought about making this video because I've had a lot of people recently with the price action that Bitcoin has had asking me to explain it to them. I'm their Bitcoin guy. They knew that. They've always known that. And this is the very first time that they've come to me to help them out with this, right? So what is Bitcoin? Well, it's different for everybody, okay? Personally, for me, it is a savings more than anything because that's specifically what I use it for. Otherwise, it is a currency. I have used it to pay for things. I do use it to buy certain things. And then 3, it's hope, it's freedom. For some people, it's financial services. There's 3 billion people on the planet that don't have access to a bank or some sort of financial service. And global inclusion when it comes to economic spending, right? For some people, Bitcoin is an investment. For some people, Bitcoin is a trade. For some people, Bitcoin is a Ponzi scheme. For some people, Bitcoin is a cult. There are a lot of different things that Bitcoin goes down, and it's different for every single person. But what Bitcoin exactly is a technology. Bitcoin is a software, okay? And no, it's not physical like this. There are no actual physical coins. This is just a nice little golf ball marker that my buddy got me that I use for these videos. Bitcoin is software, much like your phone. It's a technology, right? It's something that continues to advance as time continues. Right now, Bitcoin is 15 years old. It was invented in 2009. By anonymous creator or inventor Satoshi Nakamoto. And nobody knows if that's a real person, if that's a fake name. Regardless on it, he created this out of the financial crisis, 2008, or a lot of the fraud that was happening, the banks being over leveraged, governments having too much power and control over currencies, fiat currencies, and just looking at literally every single past civilization has always had a currency and it's failed. A currency and it's failed. A currency and it's failed. And the closest thing that we've had in the last 5,000 years to a currency, something that can hold a store of value, something that we can use slightly to transact, and more so back in the day, because they had a bartering system, was gold, right? Gold is awesome. But Bitcoin is a technology that does better than gold does. It's a better gold than gold is, and it's a better cash than any fiat system that we currently have today. And so, it was created because of those reasons, and in hopes that if people do catch on to this and the technology continues to develop as it has been, this will be unstoppable currency in the future. Now, am I talking in 3 weeks, a year, 5 years? No. The drastic changes that you're going to see happen are after 10 years from now, all right? Probably after 2030. But it's very important to know that Bitcoin can save a lot of people. Bitcoin can help many people on not only this country that I'm living in, but this entire world. So lots of people are shut down by inflation, right? Let's just talk some facts for a second. Since COVID, have you seen prices go up? Inflation. The answer is yes. Since COVID, and there's a lot of this that happens even pre-COVID. I just really want to provide a specific window. Since COVID, has governments around the world printed more money out of thin air? The answer is yes. Have governments depreciated their fiat currency? For me, it's example, the US dollar. Has that depreciated by them creating new currency out of thin air? The answer is yes. And so, if that stuff is going on and we're going to work every single day, we're busting our ass, we're spending our time to collect a paycheck in that specific currency, we are getting stolen from. Okay, as citizens, we're getting our money taken from us. It is devaluing our dollar. So, for me, the thing that really stood out was I got to get out of the dollar, right? I can invest in stocks, I can invest in bonds, whatever it is that you could invest in, real estate. But here's the thing. It's not liquid. I wouldn't be able to cash it out whenever I wanted to. Stocks kind of, sort of, right? Between 7:30 and 2 o'clock. Yeah, I could. But if it's a weekend, couldn't get access to it. If it's after trading hours, couldn't get access to it. And it's got to beat inflation. It's got to beat the amount that is being depreciated daily. And that is why I use Bitcoin as a savings technology. It's not an investment for me. I don't trade it. I use it as an investment to save my money so that hopefully in 2 years, in 5 years, in 10 years, 30, 50, 90, 100, 500 years from now, the money that I have been saving is going to do tremendously well and be worth way more money than it would have been sitting in a savings account or sitting in cash or sitting in gold or real estate or anything else. Bitcoin is property. And for the first time ever, citizens of the planet have a finite amount of something that is a unit of account, something that can be used to pay for things globally, right? It doesn't matter where you live. You want to buy something online, you participate, right? Much like today. We participate in the internet. And some countries have a bunch of laws and borders on what you're allowed to do on the internet, but for the most part, everybody around the world can communicate with each other through the internet. It is just a place of information, right? The internet brought us infinite information and access to contact and connect with people all around. What the internet did for information, Bitcoin will do for money. Now, a little bit more of the basics. Bitcoin is run on a technology called a blockchain, and it's a big fancy word for database or ledger, okay? It is just a chain of blocks that literally, quite literally, host public transactions from the history of its creation. So you can go back and look at any transaction that has ever happened. It's all stored publicly online. There's a finite amount of Bitcoin, so there will only ever be 21 million coins. This is the benefit to beating the fiat currency, right? They can just create as much as they want to, whenever they want to, out of thin air. Bitcoin has a hard cap of 21 million coins. About those coins, let's just say I own 1 Bitcoin and you own 1,000 Bitcoin. In today's modern world, the person with more money has more power. They can dominate more control over a country, a person, a business, whatever. And in Bitcoin, that is not the case. It is very awesome that in Bitcoin, nobody else can control the network more than you can. Nobody's got more authority for it. Bitcoin is an open ledger that anybody around the world can see, look at, investigate, see what's going on with it. It is a distributed, decentralized technology, so not a company owns it. There's no CEO. There's no place that you can call and say, hey, Bitcoin, whatever. It's entirely run independently and off of other people like myself who are Bitcoiners. These people, they host nodes, an internet modem. They all speak to each other. They all have that same Bitcoin ledger on it. And miners validate the transactions. And you see, we're getting a little bit deep into the woods here. I don't expect the weeds. Anybody doesn't expect I don't expect anybody to fully understand this. Okay, Bitcoin is it's complicated. It's extremely difficult to understand, especially when you get into the nitty gritty of it. And the way that I like to explain it, it goes back to our internet reference, which is most of us don't know how the internet works. Most of us don't know what HTTP means and why it's before a website address that we type in. Or if you do know what it means, do you know why it connects with that address and what it talks to and what it refers back to? No, right? Most likely not. But do we use it? Yes, we use it on a daily basis. Bitcoin is going to be one of those revolutionary technologies, just like the light bulb, just like the car engine, where you might not know how it works, but you're gonna use it, okay? Bitcoin is a tool. Just like a car, you can call a car an investment. I guess you could sell a car for more money. People do it all the time with exotics, but we all know cars depreciate. So majority of cars are never an investment, but does most of the world have a car? Yes, they need it. It is a tool to get them from point A to point P and point C and D and all the way back to point A where they started, right? It is a necessary tool to have, just like a cell phone nowadays is a necessary tool to have. Bitcoin is taking that same course, and right now we are very, very early. So I have one video that I want to play at the end of this that I think is the best example of what this will turn out to be. My personal opinion is much like I've been explaining to you today. It's an incredible invention. It is going to change a numerous amount of things. You would be mind blown by how much money can change. All right, there's a saying, there's a quote, fix the money, fix the world. And 100% it's true, and something that I believe in. But at the end of the day, guys, Bitcoin is different for everybody. For me, it's a savings account, it's a store of value, and it represents hope and freedom in a way that we can interact with everybody around the world in a nice, easy way. So, hey, with that being said, that is a simple answer. If you want to know more and dive into the mining of it, I've got other videos. Please check out my channel. If I provided you with any value, help me out. Give me a thumbs up. Subscribe to the channel because the more you do and the more you share this content, the more people will be woke. And we most definitely need people to figure this out before it's too late, because Bitcoin today is at $57,000, and I promise you, you're going to be a little bit sad and sore when it's at $1 million and you're barely starting to do your research. But if you're here at this point, especially as late as you are into this video, you're not one of those people. So continue to learn. That's all I can tell you. But I really want to throw a great video here before the video actually ends. So to summarize this video, it's to show what Bitcoin can do in the first 10 years of its existence and what it'll do for the next 10 years of its existence. Remember, we're 15 years old, and how that correlates with other technology like phones, computers, the internet, stuff like that. So thanks for tuning in, guys. My name is Spike with Hyper Bitcoinization. We'll catch you later. Check this video out, and peace out.
So back in the early 1990s, so I graduated college in 1990. When I graduated, only 10% of US households owned a personal computer back then. And by year 2000, it was 90% of households owned a personal computer. But when the personal computer revolution started, it started in the very late 70s, early 80s. And so, in 1980, about 1/10 of 1% of households had a personal computer. And so that's what S-curve is. It's the amount of time it takes for a new technology to go from 0% adoption to 10% adoption is the same amount of time it takes it to go from 10% to 90%. So you can go back and look at shipping companies in the 1400s, railroads in the 1800s, automobile companies in the 1940s and 50s. I mentioned computers in the 80s and 90s. And then, I use this for, the computer S-curve, the internet S-curve, the mobile internet S-curve, which is basically Apple, and then now blockchain S-curves. So Bitcoin was invented in 2009. By 2019, 10% of US households owned Bitcoin. And then last year, Brian Brooks, the comptroller of the US currency, mentioned that 15% of US households own Bitcoin. There was a survey that came out earlier this year of 30,000 people that showed 25% of US households own Bitcoin. So we're on this mass adoption, this mega trend of mass adoption of Bitcoin in the United States. And what this tells us, if it took 10 years to go from 0 to 10, then it's going to take 10 more years to go from 10 to 90. So from 2019 to 2029, in 2029, we should hit about 90% adoption of Bitcoin or digital wallets or some sort of crypto assets in our portfolios. And so this megatrend is in place and it's completely unstoppable. And you either get on board or you get run over the next 8 years. And for people that spend the time to learn what Bitcoin is, I think it would be a great benefit to them just to take 20 to 40 hours and devote to this to understand what this is, so that you could participate in this new megatrend. Yeah, so on the stock to flow model with Plan B, basically stock to flow models are used to value commodities like gold, diamonds, silver, platinum, palladium. And so if you throw Bitcoin into this valuation method, basically what it shows is that gold is the scarcest asset on Earth today. It has a stock to flow ratio of 60 to 1. So the stock is the amount of gold that's ever been mined, that's above ground, that's been stored. And the flow is the amount of new gold that gets mined every year. So it's a 60 to 1 ratio. Bitcoin's stock to flow ratio is 45 to 1. And so gold is scarcer than Bitcoin because it's 60 to 1 divided by is more scarce than 45 to 1. But after the next halving, Bitcoin halving in 2024, Bitcoin's stock to flow ratio goes to 90 to 1. And so Bitcoin becomes the scarcest asset on Earth in 2024. And so if you look at the total value of gold today, it's worth about 10 trillion. And the total value of Bitcoin is a little bit more than 1 trillion. And if you think about it, if Bitcoin becomes the scarcest asset on Earth in 2024, it should be worth more than gold. So to me, that means that Bitcoin should be worth more than $10 trillion in 2024. And that's what this model shows. It just shows it in like a graphical format with dollars. So what this shows is that at the end of this year, Bitcoin should be worth about $100,000. At the end of 2025, it should be worth about $1 million. And in the 2029 shows that one Bitcoin should be worth about $10 million. And this model is 95% correlated to the historical price of Bitcoin over the past 12 years. So it's very accurate and it's working as clockwork.